What's up, YouTube garden fiends? I am really liking the idea of putting things into YouTube and seeing what comes up. So I typed in Sonoran Desert Food Forest, and of course my video comes up. Okay, let's just go through some videos. Let's see what's going on here.
Likelihood of success, be a lot less likely to succeed. So please trust me when I say follow these steps, because these steps are proven. I know that they work. I've seen them in my yard and countless others. So please just listen. If you skip ahead, you will miss important steps and you will really diminish your chances of being successful. I know.
Okay, mister, what's going on? You're 3 minutes into your video and you're not stating your points. I hate YouTube. People, get to the point.
A black thumb even. I can't grow anything. I don't believe
4
in
minutes
brown
in,
thumbs. I don't believe
this
in it.
man is
I
still
think
not getting
everybody
to the
has a
point.
green thumb. But everybody's got to follow.
Get to your point, y'all. If you're making content, get to the point.
All the steps that they need. So set your goal in order to be successful. So if you look at this ground is very, very brown, very, very, very void of organic life. This isn't really ground that will produce results for you. This is why step 3 is building soil. So this right here, this is dirt. This is not soil. This doesn't have life. This is just nasty, dirty dirt. One of the tricky things about gardening in the desert, because it is such a limited resource, we have to be careful with it. We have to be responsible with it. We have a limited supply, so we want to put ourselves in a position where we can afford to use less of it and still be successful. There are a lot of people, I am not one of them, that have really cool rainwater collection systems. I know my wife's family, my family, they...
Okay, so this is the disconnect where I don't get it, and I kind of this is where people lose me in Phoenix. There's a disconnect. You have to plant the rain first. You have to plant the rain first. You got to make sure that all these plants that you're putting in are getting rainwater when it rains. Even though it doesn't rain a lot here, you still have to do that first. Let's see what he says.
Have a company that puts rain gutters in, which if you have rain gutters, you can have them go into a system that collects the water. There's a lot of cool options there. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about watering in general. So for me,
I think passive rainwater harvesting is a better investment than active rainwater harvesting. So active would mean like a tank, because that requires you to do something with that water, where passive is when it rains, it is passively getting harvested through the site. So that's usually earthworks. You got to do that. You have to do that. That is step number 1. That should be guiding everything you do when you're working your land, because we are in the desert. The water is a limited resource and we need to use it when it's available. Otherwise, you're wasting it.
me, watering has been kind of challenging. There are people in the valley that will talk about not using drip lines. I 100% agree with them. I still have a few though, because I am not blessed with the option of having flood irrigation. I really wish I had it, but I...
That's the other thing. I don't know what is going on in Phoenix. Like, I use drip irrigation for all my vegetable gardens and it saves water. In Phoenix, there's this culture of hand watering everything. And it is so much hotter in Phoenix than it is in Tucson.
I don't. So because I don't have it, I've got to be creative with my watering. The little drip lines get clogged with like calcium and hard water deposits.
You need a filter. let's just go to it right now. Let's get this done. I'm not sponsored. This is where I get my filters. So this is the filter that I use right here. It's this Rain Shower Guard and Grow. Okay, here's the description. The Guard and Grow system is a disposable dechlorinator that keeps your plants healthier by removing the chlorine that kills beneficial bacteria in your garden soil. Helps promote healthy plant nutrition and growth in your garden by eliminating the harsh toxic effects of chlorinated water. You can also get these filters. This right here, this is the filter. So these are the replacement filters. Now, this is not that cheap. I have one of these garden grows for everything that's gonna hit soil. So for example, each individual drip line that I have, if I have 4 lines, I'm gonna have 4 of these connected to each drip line to filter out the chlorine to that drip line. And it makes a huge difference in having to replace them. You have to replace your drip lines. Our water, even with the filter, is very hard and it will get calcified. It's just kind of part of the game. You have to maintain your drip irrigation systems. The garden grow definitely helps with the soil biology and with extending the life of your drip lines. It is expensive, but I think that when you can afford to invest in this for your garden, you definitely should. And like I said, I have a bunch of these. I didn't buy them all at one time kind of thing. I slowly, over time, built up my filters, and now I just have to buy filters, and the filters last a long time. Let's go back over here.
So you won't find out your tree is in trouble or not getting enough water until it's severely distressed or dead. So that's why I don't really recommend using them. Although if that's the only thing you have and you're willing to put in the work and do the maintenance to make sure that it's gonna be able to survive and thrive, then I would say you could do it. What I do is a little bit different. I've actually never done a video on watering. It's not a secret for me. I don't really want
Do you think it's gonna be ridiculous? Or you think let's see how ridiculous it is.
to be wrong about it. So I've tried a bunch of different things. I've tried bubblers. Bubblers I think are great if you don't have the option of flood irrigation because they kind of mimic flood irrigation. The problem with bubblers for me was they just didn't cover enough ground. So I ended up taking the bubbler concept and expanding it a little further, which I'll show you guys in just one second. So what I did is I actually,
Show us.
over time, I put in my own irrigation system. I went the digital route, so I have and even adjusting. And I just want to give you a quick look at which areas are getting water and what time. So it really helps. So just as a demo, I'm gonna just put in a minute. Area now is getting rained on, and you can easily go stop, and it stops. Pretty cool.
Oh my God. Can't believe. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why? Why? You can't make this up. Can't make this up. Okay, if you're gonna talk smack on drip irrigation and then just have water flying everywhere, like you need to sit down. You need to sit this one out, man. Like that is just wasting water. Like this is insane.
So what did I just do there? That's not
You waste a lot of water, my boy. That's what you're doing. He's gonna have a reason for it though, watch.
something that I think I've seen on a YouTube video in the
I would be embarrassed of myself. This just, I would be, this is not, this is not. Okay, let's take a break for a second here. let's really reflect on what just happened. I don't think I'm gonna go through this entire video. I think I've seen enough. In fact, let's just get, how about we stop doing this? How about we think about our garden journey in a different way? And I'm talking to all the folks in Phoenix and all the folks that want to grow food. And I want to tell you right now, don't limit yourself to exotic plants that need to be babied in order to do well here. That doesn't make any sense. I've had people contact me to help them in Phoenix because their mangos and bananas and all these exotic fruit trees are struggling. And there's always this like, it's hard for them to understand that they're struggling because they're not meant to be here. And they're like, well, like all these other people, and it's always like the same characters on the social media um that are being used as the reference point. Well, this person here is doing it, and I went to this person's permaculture site, and yeah, like if you're a green thumb, you're a green thumb, and you can make a lot of things grow here. We don't have certain parts of this state don't freeze at all. So it is kind of like a tropical environment minus the humidity, minus the water. It's dry. So you could do the tropical stuff here, but it's not what's gonna thrive, right? You have to be a green thumb. You have to like really love these plants. You have to like really love on them so that they do well. And part of that is using a lot of water. In my way of thinking, why am I not investing in plants that do well with what we got? And yeah, put in a couple exotics, right? Like I have fruit trees. I got two. I got two fruit trees. And it doesn't take tons of water to grow two fruit trees, right? Most of the trees we have are native edible trees, and we don't water them at all. And we do harvest food from them. And that's where there's the major disconnect. People are really limiting themselves to plants that they're going to have to get rid of because we're in a drought. And that is the part that all these folks are not calculating into all this work that they're doing. That man right there, he talked about the water and he knew that it's important, right? But like people can't help themselves. Like they still want what they want. And humans are very interesting. Like we want what others have that are like in Phoenix. What happened is there's been a couple folks that have planted hundreds of fruit trees in their homes, and they're calling it a Sonoran Desert food forest, right? And from the jump, my whole thing is, well, you're just gonna have to cut everything down when the drought hits. But people are in denial. They've been in denial. People, even, 15 years ago, when I was kind of coming into this professional green space I've had a green job for most of my adult life, working in the local food security scene and the gardening scene with my business and with the nonprofit work I've done in the past. And whenever I've tried to do projects in Phoenix or work with folks in Phoenix, they never think about the water. They never think about irrigation. People are anti drip irrigation, which is insane. Like everyone has all these reasons why drip irrigation is not good, but then they'll do crazy things like this, right? Where they're just like spewing out water across the entire yard like it's nothing. And it's just pure insanity. It's pure insanity. That's how that man waters his plants. He has a sprinkler system and it gets everywhere, everywhere. And somehow he thinks he's figured something out. That is what most of that water is going to evaporate. Most of that water is going to evaporate. And we're in the desert. And he let you know that he was in the desert and the water is a precious resource. So all of that led him to wasting water, right? So it's just fascinating, how humans can do all these mental gymnastics and still arrive at a point where it doesn't make any sense and there's so many contradictions, right? I just it's 2022. Lake Powell is going dry. Lake Mead is going dry. These sort of practices need to be done away with. We need to let go of this way of thinking about our garden and these practices that are at that are now outdated. They're the excuse the excuses are over now. We're in a water shortage where Arizona is not getting a 500,000 acre feet of our allocation from the Colorado River this year. The biggest water users are farmers and the landscape needs of homeowners. So it's just insane. I really, 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 really want to encourage people to harvest rainwater and to really understand that that is step one. Before anything else, harvesting rainwater is step one. I encourage you to take rainwater harvesting classes. They are plentiful. Many people offer them. You can even get into some for free, right? So search for them. A lot of people do free trainings when they're trying to get free labor when they're working on their own site. I did that for my wife's massage studio. We did a free workshop and a bunch of people showed up. We did it in like 2 weekends or something. And we did a huge earthwork. And plenty of people do that all over the state all the time. So you can get into ones for free if you don't have the funds, but it is definitely something to invest in, right? I want to change the culture here in Arizona where we're just not giving a damn about the water. We're not even thinking about water conservation and real strategies to grow more food with less water. And that's what I've dedicated myself in my garden journey in the past 15 years. I've really dedicated to figuring out how to grow more food with less water. And I figured it out. I got it figured out and I'm doing it. And you can go through my videos and look at my actual gardening content. And I'm gonna start doing videos like this because I feel that yes, I can do a bunch of gardening content, which I'm still gonna do. I'm still gonna do it. I'm still recording everything in my garden, but I'm gonna focus a little bit more on videos like this because this needs to be addressed within our community. And I'm talking about the gardening community. Um, we need to speak on this now. I've been addressing this with I know all these people. These circles are small. I don't hold my tongue when we're in the same room and we're having conversations, and I've told people that have hundreds of fruit trees and are selling fruit trees and are holding trainings on how to plant hundreds of fruit trees. I've told them to their face that this is not sustainable, that they are part of the problem, that the water is going to run out. And I always, people always make excuses, but we're here. We're here now. It's time to start addressing this. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to start a new video series. I'm going to call it The Water Offenders. And this is what it's going to be. We're going to look for examples of the worst water offenders, and we're going to critique what is going on, what's the culture of water offending in Arizona, and we're going to try to change that culture. Instead of creating a culture of water offenders, I want to create a culture of water defenders. And it's time. It's time that we move forward and we start harvesting rainwater. If you look up my videos, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been advocating for this for a long time. I've been telling people to grow native food for over a decade. And I've been in this kind of back and forth with the local permaculture community leaders in Phoenix mainly, who are holding on to this antiquated idea of what gardening is in Arizona and what it looks like and what a even what a food forest is. Like, I don't agree with them on their definition and implementation of food forest theory, right? It's not regenerative, and if it's not regenerative, it's not permaculture. I mean, you're just gardening. You're just gardening with exotic plants. It's not permaculture. When you move out of that house, or if you were to, get struck down by lightning, if that system cannot regenerate itself without you, it's not a permaculture system. When I pass away, my permaculture site can regenerate itself. These mesquite trees can plant themselves. These palo verdes can plant themselves. These acacia trees that we have, they can plant themselves. That is a regenerative system. The only things that are gonna get lost is the chicken coop and the fruit trees. Everything else will remain. Even our gardens, because they're rainwater harvesting earthworks, that will just get taken over by the native stuff. It's a regenerative system. And I think that is the major lack of understanding with the permaculture community. I don't think a lot of the folks that are doing this stuff, they might consider what they're doing permaculture, but they might just be gardening. Who knows how they're thinking about it? But Phoenix is definitely the worst offender when it comes to wasting water. So leave a comment. What's a better title for this series than Water Offenders, or is Water Offenders good? I just kind of thought about it right now, but we have to call this out. We have to critique it. We have to change the culture. And we have to let people know that what they're doing is not good. Don't waste water. Don't use sprinklers like dude in the video. Um, Drip irrigation is the way to go, but only after you plant the rain first, right? Rainwater harvesting should be number one on your list all the time. You don't you don't skip step number one, which is planting the rain. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon, because I'm gonna create a lot of problems for myself doing videos like this, and I need your support. My membership levels are $2, $5, and $10. Everyone gets my dryland permaculture growing guide. All of the content like this goes on to my Patreon first and then to the YouTube. So my Patreon members get dibs on the content. They see it first. And sometimes it's up there for a long time before it moves over to the YouTube channel. My $5 members get a seed care package. My $10 members get a seed care package and a pound of my custom mineral mix so you can make your own potting soil or top dress plants. I also do giveaways every year with big ticket items. We just give away a greenhouse, indoor greenhouse. And we're gonna give away some grow lights later on in the year. So my $5 and $10 members are automatically entered into the epic giveaways when they take place. It looks like we're going to do 3 or 4 epic giveaways this year. And I am very thankful for my Patreon members. Thank you so much for making this stuff possible. If you want to see more water offender videos, please consider signing up to the Patreon because I'm going to stir the pot with this stuff. It's time to change the culture. And in order to change the culture, you have to kind of go against the grain. All right. So like, subscribe, share, join the Patreon. Thank you for watching.